Justin Ellis here with CompLegends.com, and we've got the TFX Leaderboard update show coming to you right now. And we're going to jump straight into this one, diving into the leaderboard as such. A couple athletes that we want to highlight throughout this leaderboard, and let's get right into it. Hopefully, you did well this week and can't wait for the next week of workouts. Starting off on the men's elite side, we are going to highlight Mr. Philip Muscarella. Now, as you can see in this clip here, is his front squat, and he hit 392 on this attempt for 3. That gave him a 23rd position for this lift, and but Philip Muscarella actually took a first in the first week, and that ended up being on 22.2, the kind of sprint effort with a 2-minute and 13-second finish there. So a first place. Awesome job to Mr. Philip Muscarella. I might be saying that wrong. Correct me. Please let me know. Moving on to the women's side of things, and we are going to highlight Maddie Edwards. And let me pull that up for you guys real quick. Maddie Edwards is sitting in 10th position overall after the first week, and she took a first place as well, but here in the row box jump workout, 22.3 with a 14-minute and 37-second time, which was killer, and that's on the elite side. I should also mention Philip also sits in 10th position, so both top 10 athletes after week 1 in the elite pro division. Now I'm also going to go into and highlight some intermediate scaled athletes, starting off with Cade Castro, and we're going to take a look here at this clip, and he finishes after the first week second place overall. And what helped him here was 22.2. He finished this workout in the 2:29, finishing 9th overall for that workout, and had really just good consistent scores to place him in second position, and that is Mr. Cade Castro. Moving over to the women's side, Blake Bewley. Now, again, if I say a name wrong, please comment or message me what that's supposed to be. But Blake finishes 3rd after the first week in intermediate skilled, and her highest position was a 19th here on the box jump and row workout, finishing with an 18-13 overall score. And of course, in this workout, which we saw in 2 of the workouts that were kind of universal for both intermediate and pro divisions, there wasn't a change up. You had a rower, you had a box, and you had, what kind of endurance did you have? So those tests were kind of universal. Those times were universal. The weights were universal. So real good comparisons there. Of course, on the pull-up workout, we saw the, heavier dumbbells and that workout, but it still had the pull-ups. So I thought overall that was pretty unique to be able to maybe adjust and see if maybe next year you are a pro elite side or maybe need to go to intermediate. So those are our highlights, highlighted athletes of week number 1 of TFX, and that's going to bring us into the team version. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up for you the leaderboard, and we're going to dive into that just a little bit. And what I want to talk about here are the teams. We're going to look at the pro and intermediate teams as well. So sitting at the top right now in the pro elite RX division, blacklisted West, I think the significant thing to see and notice here is 2 first place finishes right out the gate in week 1. Blacklisted also has huge representation. We see in blacklisted TXGA. We also have, looks like blacklisted HQ North here, blacklisted Houston, pretty much right there, almost sitting at all top 10. So that program is doing very well in week 1. See CrossFit SDA in second place and not far behind. If you notice there, it's a 2-point difference from first to second. So definitely up for grabs. And CrossFit Kima Black is only 4 points out of first. So I will explain why I think this next week is going to make a huge difference, probably a huge shakeup in the leaderboards as well. Local team, CrossFit Overtake Team Density, that is in my local area there, and they've been to the games before. They're sitting in 6th position right now. So yeah, we see some CrossFit's man-made CrossFit. I believe they made it to the games last year. There was a team that I think tested positive. They were right on the bubble, so that knocked them right in. So that's another good team to be looking out for. Let's draw that over into the intermediate side, and we see Chalk Dirty to me from CrossFit Trison taking first right now in a pretty good lead of 12 points. Now, not taking a first in any one of the workouts, and usually that's a pretty good key to success, is having consistency rather than having specialists. So in the team side here, you see a 5th, a 2nd, and a 7th. Really sitting nice. Second place with 12 points behind is CrossFit Home Base Central, and we also see Elevate Crew CrossFit. Obviously almost two ends of the spectrum there. We got the specialists kind of on the lift there, and then on the other team, Elevate Crew CrossFit, they kind of had that rowing, maybe box gym specialist team, let me flip the script, not quite as strong for CrossFit Home Base Central, and maybe just not the jumpers for Elevate Crew CrossFit. So those knocked them down just a little bit, but they still sit comfortably in second place, tied up. Just a quick shout out to, we've got a couple teams in the intermediate side of things in Blood, Sweat, and Beers, of course, from my box there. CrossFit Willis sits in 45th position. If you're trying to crack the top 20, it's a little bit of a long shot, but they still have some opportunity. And again, we're going to dive into this week and dive into next week and see why there's definitely some potential on some huge mix-up, because, and let's go into the next section of this podcast, this video here, which is going to be reviewing my predictions, and this is going to be kind of a low point for me. Don't feel very successful as far as that goes, so we're gonna pull up this leaderboard once again and go over that. 22.1, I had predicted the high point being 405 pounds on the front squat for guys, and 275 for the ladies, and they blew this out of the water. So the high for the men was 430 pounds, and 25-pound difference there. 430 just doesn't even sound right. I mean, for 3 reps, that is a phenomenal 1 rep. But of course, CrossFit continues to evolve and grow. And yes, if we take a look at the leaderboard, like I just had it pulled up. If we take a look at the leaderboard, what we're going to see on the first place position for this, a little bit of a specialist, but not as much as I thought it would be. First, 86 and 107. If you look at the times, those are pretty good scores. You're talking about knocking off 10 seconds on 22.2, and that would be pretty significant. Actually, 20 seconds would knock him about 50 plus positions there, 60 plus positions, and then taking 107th on the row box jump, 1506. Maybe he is a little bit bigger athlete. The jumps just weren't able to move quite as fast as he'd like, potentially. And let me see if I can say this name, Seth Pro Chazak. Did really well overall and is sitting 51st. So, whether it's qualifying for the pro or the RX division, he's in a very comfortable position to move forward. On the women's side for that lift, I had projected a 275, and I will say that 275 does sit 5th position overall, so I'm kind of happy about that. But 300 pounds, and not only did she take first on that, she took a 7th on 22.2 with a 2 minute and 41 second performance. Now the row box, not her suit, 71st place overall, will definitely keep her in a really good sitting position, a 20th overall right now. And again, took me right out of my predictions on that. 22.2, I had thrown out 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So we'll take a look at the women's first. And Lindsay Model from CrossFit Praus. I'm not getting any of that. I'm gonna have to look into that. But 2 minutes and 17 seconds, and not only did she blow me out of the water, really the next competitor, 9 seconds is fairly significant for a first to second. She took a 10th in the weight lift with 262 and a 22nd with 1632 on 22.3. So this is not a specialist, not just a gymnast. Obviously with those dumbbells in there. So sitting 5th overall after week 1, definitely a name to not only learn how to pronounce, but to remember moving forward. And on the men's pro side for that 237, we saw, I believe it was 213. Yes, 213. And this is an athlete we already highlighted, Philip Muscarella from Precision CrossFit. Took a first there, did really well on the lift with a 23rd. Again, I watched the clip a little bit with the box jumps. I think he had a little bit slower box jumps. The rows seemed pretty strong, 13:58, and took a 58th position. That sits him in the top 10 after week 1. So you can't be too disappointed there. So, you know, that's the cool thing to see, though, that some of these wins aren't just completely, you know, isolated incidents or complete specialists. 22.3, I kind of made a parameter of who's going to be in the top 10. And on the guys, I said, you got to be a 16:05 or better. Well, they did not disappoint on beating me out of the water on this one as well. 12:29 was the watermark, if you will, to be in the top 10. 12:30 did not get you to the top 10 on that one, which is crazy. I thought on this one, just the pace was maybe with the endurance piece, the pace was going to be a little harder to sustain. That was not the case for these athletes. The first place position here also with 11:17 took a 2:27 or 13th position on 22.2. That's Matt DeLugos. And the lift 347, maybe not as strong as he might like to be, but he's sitting in 24th position. Took 117th on that. I'm going to also go over predictions of what we see moving forward, and I think he's set up to probably be in a pretty good position to maybe even increase his position from 24th. On the ladies' side for this one, I had stated 18:05. And again, top score was 14:37. Maddie Edwards, another athlete that we already highlighted. She took a 31st on the pull-up workout and an 18th on the weight lift, sitting top 10. Looks like a strong athlete. Did the endurance, did the sprint. Those are all top 10. But to get, top first position on that workout. To be top 10, though, you had to be 15:41 or better. So, of course, they knock off almost 2.5 minutes on what I projected. And 15:47 knocked you right out of the top 10. But again, we see another win from an athlete that's not just a rower box jumper. So that's pretty cool. They're going to be set up for the long haul on this one. So with that being said, kind of the deep dive for this week's programming, maybe testing. I got a couple highlights that I wanted to go over here. And I thought this first week was not very technical, grunt work style, and more about kind of the fundamentals. I don't disagree the way they did it, because I think kind of like the open week 1, you don't want to throw out all the craziness right out the gate. You want to build into that, because there's a lot of athletes that are learning to test their skills, and they're still, fine-tuning that. Maybe they can't do all certain things in CrossFit just yet. So you definitely don't want at any level to disappoint going into week 2. In this case, it's just 2 weeks too. The open, down to 4. You want participation throughout. I think that makes it more exciting, more accountability, more push. So you need these tests anyway. And that's another thing, it's like, well, do we do the crazy technical, skill level stuff the first week? I'm already 190th position. There's no real reason to go out there and kill myself on these grunt work. So I think you kind of have to move in this pace, in this direction. So even though it was fundamentals, it was grunt work and not very technical, I think it was the right thing. So it's not a judgment there. The cool thing too, with 3 pieces in 1 week, we kind of saw the short piece, we saw the endurance piece, and we saw the strength piece. And I think with 3 pieces, if you're gonna evaluate 3 different scores, that's really a good test. That's a really good overall scheme to getting the results that we got on the leaderboard. So depending on obviously how they match that and pair that up with week 2, that's going to be important. I don't think you can repeat a week like that, but we're in the right direction as far as finding who's going to qualify for this or not. I think a key point here was it allowed for conditioned athletes to really be highlighted. I don't think it swayed too much to one athlete one way or the other. I mean, you had some good pieces for taller athletes in the row and maybe even in the lift if you're a little bit bigger athlete, but they isolated, or I should say neutralized some of that. With the box jump, if you're a big tall athlete, cool, you can row and get extended. It is all about that power, but you learned how to use it. But now you got to jump these boxes, and sometimes that's not the best situation for a longer athlete. And you can flip that too. I can box jump all day, but the extension, I've got athletes that just outrow me sometimes because of length. The pull-up workout with the dumbbells, it was all grip, but I also felt like a stronger athlete there was able to maintain moving those dumbbells unbroken. And if they had to go in there with some sets on the pull-ups, you could eliminate just knocking yourself out of the running, and get a 3+ score, or a quick 4-minute workout, and you're still not, you got some work to do, but you're not out of the running. And of course the lift, across the board, we need to know that in fitness, there's some strength involvement. And I think doing 3 reps, again, neutralizes just those huge 1-rep maxes and allows somebody that maybe they're not throwing up those 1 reps, but 3 reps does allow a little bit of endurance factor into that lift. So I thought that was a pretty cool test. One thing that stood out to me too is the pull-ups rather than chest to bars on that workout really told me that it was going to be an all-out sprint. You better not come down, and if you do, you better get right back up. So I thought that was a cool kind of bring back to some fundamental, just because you throw chest to bars in there, I think you have an element of like, I'm going to break this up a little bit. You throw pull-ups in there, it's like, I got to hang on as long as I can. And that's just a different stimulus. It's not an easier one. In regards, that's maybe a harder one, especially if you can do it like that. Predictions for next week. This is if I'm running off the predictions that I had on what the results were going to be, this is going to be a challenge. But I didn't feel like I was, other than the row workout, I felt like I was in some sort of domain, somewhat close to what they had on the board. But right now, I think next week, number 1, we're going to get more technical. As much as I highlighted and I thought it was great programming because it wasn't, you got to backdoor that and get more technical, whether it be or all of the above, barbell, gymnastics, even more technical in the formatting of the workouts, a certain time domain you got to get to continue on. So I think we just get a lot more technical, and I would say especially in the gymnastics. I don't think we're going to see another test as far as just a 1-rep, 2-rep, 3-rep, 5-rep, just straight strength. But I do think we see that kind of traditional open, hey, if you continue to move on in this time frame, you're going to see the heavier barbell, right? Or the more skilled. We've seen that in the gymnastics sides too. It starts off chest to bars, but you got to make it to the bar muscle ups, and then that can start to separate different athletes, the skilled athletes. And this more skilled athletes aren't always the better endurance athletes or more conditioned or the stronger. But if you want to get there, you got to work to get there. And I do typically like that factor. So yeah, I mean, maybe a squat clean, maybe a snatch, whatever it is, maybe it's a deadlift, but I think you're going to have to do some work to get to that. If you're a weightlifter and you want to get there, you're going to have to match that up with some other stuff. My guarantee, my Comp Legends guarantee, don't forget to go to complegends.com, by the way. Check out our weekly workouts. My guarantee is that there's going to be muscle ups, and this is going to be a little vague, bar or ring, but I think we see muscle ups this week. That's going to be my guarantee, and I don't think that's going to be some sort of, oh my gosh, you're going out on a limb. No, it's my guarantee that we see muscle ups. So be prepared for that, whether it be bar or ring or both, maybe. My surprise of the week, my surprise piece of the week, all this technical stuff that we should probably see this week, you're still going to have to pepper in the elements that make that difficult, the grunt style stuff. And my surprise of the week, and for you it won't be a surprise because you're listening, is going to be, we see some sort of coverage on the floor, meaning distance, and an overhead lunge. And I'm going to say it's with a dumbbell. That's my Comp Legends surprise of the week for TFX week number 2. I'm not going to get as specific as which one of the workouts, but I feel like if we're going to have the handstands in there, we're going to have the muscle ups, toes to bar still, double unders. I think they throw a shoulder leg piece in there. They can kind of hit it all and kill that midline, and then say, hey, get upside down, or hey, pull up on these rings. And that one has always been a really nice element to go at. Now, the open years ago, when they first did a kind of distance coverage, it was with a barbell overhead walking lunge. I think that's a little sloppy, so I don't think we see that unless they just want to wreck all the gym owners' minds, but maybe with some dumbbell there, and that could get interesting. That is my surprise of the week. Guys, that's going to wrap up the week 1 update show for the Fittest Experience with complegends.com. I'm Justin Ellis. Some things to look forward to. Wadapalooza is already underway, of course, but they do have their team kicking off November 1st. So we're going to definitely approach that very similar to all the videos that you saw here, tips, strategies for each workout, and then some review as well. And then we also see coming up is the Rogue Invitational this weekend. So just a couple days from after this video post, in my home state of Austin, Texas, the Rogue Invitational will be going down. And of course, that's a mixture of strongman workouts. We also see the Legends will have some events as well throughout the weekend. Looks like one a day. And then of course the CrossFit stuff. So man, it's a big thing to do here in Austin, Texas, the Rogue Invitational. I thought it was a success the last time they had it. So yeah, we're going to go over those workouts and maybe even have some predictions on how they do, what I think about it. And as always, would love to know what you think about all this stuff, the workouts, what your results were. I love talking about these workouts and breaking them down, and been doing this for 10 years. So this is always exciting for me as the competitions start to roll in. We got more and more coming up. So good luck with next week of TFX, week number 2. If your team individual, as always, just give it the best shot you got and see how the leaderboards play out. Until then, let's be legends and see you then.